What's going on, good people? What's going on? It's your boy Authentic Branch, and I'm back with another episode of I'm So Authentic, the podcast. As a matter of fact, this is episode 1 of the new series. Congratulations to me, huh? And what better way to kick off this brand new episode to have my wonderful helpmate, my chocolate thing, my beautiful wife, Kirsten Branch, right here with me to kick off this first episode. So welcome to the podcast, honey.
Thank you. Listen, he laying it on too thick, y'all. What am I gonna do with him?
Love me. That's what we're gonna do. Look, I had to take a pause. I had to remember I got a nice audience and I have to make sure I keep it PG. But I am married. I was married, so I can say what I want. But anyway, so this episode is really special, and I wanted to start this new the news episode and the new season of the podcast by making it personal. And so my wife and I are going to share some things with you all, and they'll just talk about some personal things with us. It's not it's not like we're going to divorce or anything like that, because she can't get rid of me.
No. And let's be real. Let's be real and honest. The real reason why we're doing this episode is because the rumor mill. We don't want the rumor mill to get crazy. Yeah, we did a post. My husband did a post yesterday on his Facebook page, on Facebook and on Instagram, and it's an addition of decor that we got in the house. But his grandmama, y'all, his grandmama called this morning. And said, "Hey, y'all got something to tell me?" She thinking we talking about we having another baby. What?
Man.
No. So I told her the shop was closed. This cow ain't got no milk. Like all of the things. Ain't nothing happening. And I said, if she thinking that, how many more other people thinking the same thing? They not fully reading the message, or maybe getting their own inclination on different things. The spirit might be talking to them. I'm not saying the spirit ain't talking, but the spirit ain't matched with us. So that's the real hardcore, real Holyfield reason why we're doing this episode as well too. So
yes, she made sure she made that clear. We need to clear the air with the people. So let me give you a little backstory. So we've been in our house for over 4 years now, and granted, we're still moving in. I guess
right.
You can say that.
We're still unpacking
boxes. And our walls are bare. And so me and Kirsten thought about it. It was like, look, we need to put some decor in the house. Dress it up, like at least make it look like somebody lived here. And so I've always had this thought of having this wall art with our family name on it. The Branch family, and just have like this big little area, right in our foyer when you're walking in our door. And so when I, told Kirsten about it, showed her what I was thinking, she was like, "Great idea, I love it, let's do it." So went on Etsy. Y'all don't know about Etsy. Look, Etsy got everything, and it's wonderful. But went on there, found the vendor we was looking for, gave him the information, and he went to it in less than 2 weeks. We had it at the door. And so we got it.
That was my surprise yesterday.
Yes, that was a surprise, because I actually came in yesterday and I was thirsty. I was eating up. I was ready to put that thing up. So we got the sign made, and I tell you, it's my new favorite part of the house now. That area is the new favorite part of the house.
Let's tell them about the sign.
So the sign, it has our family. It has Andre, Kirsten, Kenton, Carrington, and Corinne.
And the correct the pronunciation of our baby girl's name, and she will tell you it's Corinne.
Not Corinne.
Not Corinne, but it's Corinne.
Yes. So.
She was named after Corinne Hawthorne.
Yes. So, and she's very adamant about you spelling her name right. She gets daddy at least 3-4 times a week. So, but that's how you teach children. You whatever you name them, you tell them, hey, this is how you are to be.
That's correct.
Yes.
Because mommy is a stickler.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't know about that third name that you mentioned, because we don't really talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
And so Kenton, this is an introduction for Kenton, as well as the introduction to our family. You know what happened. So it's like a double. Like Kenton is getting introduced to everybody, and everybody is getting introduced to Kenton. Sorry. And so so here's the journey.
So the journey takes us back to 2019. We were year in married,
ready to have children.
And when I mean we were ready like that was the biggest thing. Get married, start a family, you know, the same old cliche story.
Mm-hmm.
So
and we were happily practicing.
Of course, because we're married. He's married. We're doing this. I ain't sugarcoating nothing. I'm married. We do what married folk do.
All right, come on.
Okay. So we're coming up on our year anniversary, and we're making plans to celebrate our year anniversary. So we're making plans to go to Hilton Head, South Carolina for a week. February, Kirsten takes a pregnancy test and finds out, hey, I'm pregnant. So we're excited, you know, about to have our first child. So we start making appointments, making sure that, you know, we got everything right. So ironically, her doctor's appointment was during our vacation, during our week-long anniversary celebration. So we cut our celebration short. I mean, we were going to stay the whole week, but we cut it short. We wanted to find out, you know, everything. And so we...
Hold on, pause. Let's go back a little bit. I'm sorry to interrupt. Let's go back a little bit because we were practicing, and nothing was happening, right?
Yes.
Nothing was happening. I asked, and listen, if you have your children in the car, this may not be a episode that you want to listen to because you'll grow to know that Kirsten just, you know, no filter. But
say what she want to say.
But we were happily trying, and I was like, something's wrong with you. Like, yeah. I kept saying, I didn't have any issues. In my mind, I said, I ain't have no issues. So if we're not getting pregnant, it gotta be you. So I told him he need to go to the doctor. Go to the sperm doctor and figure this out, you know. And it was like, he was reluctant at first, but he was like, all right, we both want this. So let's figure it out. The doctor told him ain't nothing wrong with him. So then I'm saying, oh snap, something wrong with me. I go to the doctor. Doctor said all my life, never had any issues. I do deal with fibroid issues as well. So that's been a reoccurring thing in my life. And so, but not to cause me to not get pregnant. So no issues. My doctor was like, just keep on trying. Just keep on, you know, trying. And so I was like, something is not right. Something's not right. And being a Christian, you tend to say, God, what is going on? Why are you not allowing this to happen? I mean, boo-hoo, crying out to God, asking him, let us get pregnant. We're doing this the right way, right? The right way in Christianity is what? You get married, then have children. No shade. By all means, I'm not throwing shade on the single parents or the parents that had children before they got married. By no means. But what I am saying is that we made that decision. Andre and I made that decision to say this is what we want to do. And so I'm just like, well, God, we're doing this the right way. What's going on? I haven't, you know, then you begin to count your sins, trying to count your sins and stuff like, did I do something? Like, what is going on? And finally, we got the pregnancy test that says I'm pregnant. About time, Jesus. About time. Okay? I was super duper excited. Now I'm going to let Andre get back. Play.
Thank you for that interlude. Now, but so we, so basically everything that Kirsten just said ends us back to North Carolina. So we come back a day early. They are so early. We go to this appointment. This day I'll never forget. March 29th of 2019. We arrive at the doctor's office and we're excited. I mean, the whole time we're out, you know, we're celebrating. Oh, we're about to be new parents. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here talking to her belly, like, what's going on, kiddo? Like the whole thing, because if you don't understand how much I wanted to be a father.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted so badly to be a father.
Yeah.
And she wanted so badly to be a mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, exciting, who doesn't want to be a parent, happily, first married, you still in the honeymoon stage, about to start a family. And so, like I said, we're all excited. So, March 29th, 2019, I'll never forget. We arrive at the doctor's office, go in, we check in, and
so excited to check in.
I mean, like, how black folks right on time, or like barely on time or something. Like we was on time, like we was early. But we got checked in and everything's good. So we go back to the back. They're doing the ultrasound, and like I said, we're just overly joyed.
The jelly stuff on your belly.
Yes.
It was cold. Y'all mamas out there, y'all know it was very cold. But I was just like, I get to see my baby. And so this is the first time that I'm pregnant. So I don't know the things to look for when the stenographer, I remember that. That's who it is who comes to check the ultrasound, check your stomach and everything. And so we're in the room and we're just like, okay, I'm sitting there. And so she's talking to me, asking when was my last cycle and all of the things, And so then I begin to see her face kind of looking like, And the monitor, like I don't see like the screen come up with the baby, right? Then at one point I did see the screen come up, right? But then I didn't see like a baby's face or like just whatever, anything on the baby. I didn't see that. And so we were just like, what is going on? And so she said, when was your cycle? Your last cycle? And we're just talking. And she's trying to go through and I think what she was doing at that time, I feel like she recognized what was going on. But she did not want to say anything until she like did her due diligence. I believe in that line of work, I think they have to be like super duper because you don't want to false diagnose, right? So you want to make sure, hey, I've dotted my I's, I've crossed my T's, I've dotted my I's again, like, doing all of the things, right? And then we get hey, the doctor has to come in and talk to you. And I'm just like, okay, again, thinking nothing's wrong, thinking that, hey, everything's good, and that's just something that normally happens, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, I'm still on this roller coaster of excitement, and I'm looking at the screen, so I see a little small,
dot. I think it was like a dot, or like almost like a circle.
And she's, twirling the thing around, however she's doing. Look like she was about to remix a song out here. But she kept going, she kept clicking, and I heard her say, I don't hear a heartbeat.
Oh, I don't. This is the first time I never heard that.
And so when she said that, my smile just dropped. Like, what do you mean you don't hear a heartbeat? And so she kept going. She's like, well, let me check again, because maybe, something. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's just a fluke. I didn't hear what she just said. So wow. I'm this time I'm like literally in the screen, like I know what I'm doing. And like Kirsten said, her facial expression changed. And she said, hold on, let me go get the doctor. And when she said that, I was like, should I be concerned right now?
Again, at this point, so this is new. I'm gonna take a pause for this because this is new. I never knew that you heard her say, I don't hear a heartbeat. I'm today years old finding that out because I didn't hear in that moment. I don't recall hearing that. So that's enlightening. That's kind of like, wowzer. I didn't know that. Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah. So the doctor comes in and she does her due diligence. She checks again, and she says, yes.
Well, no, I don't think. Did she say that? I remember her. Go ahead, you say your part.
So this is coming from my perspective. So she came in and she checked and she's like, no, we don't have a heartbeat. And I was like, so what does that mean?
Now, mind you, I didn't hear that. I heard her say, let's get dressed and let's go in the other room. So this, you can clearly tell the different perspectives from a father and a mother. Like, I don't know if I began like shutting down at that moment. I don't know, because I didn't hear her say any of what Andre is saying. All I remember them checking my stomach, and the next thing I heard was, let's clean up your stomach and let's get ready to go into the other room. And I'm still thinking, oh, okay, everything's fine. Because mind you, until today, I didn't know that that's what the doctor said.
Yeah, so as we're leaving the exam room and going into, I guess you call the doctor's office, consultation room or whatever.
Like another regular room where we ladies, we get our checks, our yearly exams and all of the things. Go in that room.
Yeah. So going into that room, I'm already filled with a lot of uncertainty. I'm already, because I'm like, the energy in the room shifted. Like the whole vibe was just different. So we go into this room and I'm looking at this doctor and I'm like, this doctor's not about to tell me what I think she's about to tell me. Nothing in this world could have prepared me for what she was about to tell me. Mm-hmm. And so when she went through and was telling us, yes, the baby doesn't have a heartbeat. And again, me and Kirsten were sitting there stuck, like, so what does that mean? And she's like, you've had a miscarriage. When she said that, it felt like my heart floored and they were stomping on me. Like, I lost all feeling. And the only thing I can do was look at my wife. And I'm just looking at her like, did you just hear what I just heard? I know what miscarriage is. So are we on the same page here?
And clearly I wasn't, because I remember saying, so what does that mean? So like, what do we need to do so that the baby's heartbeat, so you can hear the heartbeat? Like, what I need? Do I need to eat some food? Do I need to get some potassium? Like, I've never experienced a miscarriage. So what does that mean in my mind? And before she said miscarriage, it was, for me, it was like, she was kind of, you have to be careful and gentle, and I get it. So she was kind of like slowly talking about what was going on. And so I'm listening, I'm like, okay, so look, Kirsten, you need to drink more water, and you need to do like all of these things, thinking of these old wives' tales that my grandma was talking about back in the olden days. You do this, you do that, right? So when she said that we miscarried, I'm like, what do you mean we miscarried? My baby, like, this is my first pregnancy. Immediately, it took me to a spiritual place, not to stay there long, but in that moment, I was like, God, you play too much. You really play too much, God. Like, you allowed us to get pregnant just to take our baby away. Really? And it was like, okay, pause, put that emotion on pause. Let's see what else we have to do. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those things of, when was your last cycle again? And And so it was, she was just saying, like, it happens, it's not uncommon, but I still had, what is it called? The placenta was still there. So I had to pass it. So I could either have I can't even think of the name of I could have a surgery, or I could just go and get this pill. And I take this pill over the course of a couple of days, and then I pass the baby. Like, and so I've always been, my grandmother, God rest her soul, she never liked needles, and so I don't like needles, like cutting. Now, I got tattoos, but I don't like cutting, and so I was like, I don't want to do that. And you got to think about all of this stuff at one time, like you're going through the emotion. So it was just like an emotional roller coaster. Like, what? And she's just like, have your emotion, have your feeling. I think I broke down at that time. I cried, but not really like 100% releasing it. But I know I did cry. And so I just said, my pharmacy is here, and this is what we're going to do. And so they did leave us in the room she said, just take your time, no rush, just process. And I will be honest, the rest of that day in the doctor's office, I'll say the doctor's office was a blur to me. The rest was a blur to me. So I don't recall what Andre and I discussed, if we discussed anything. Like, I don't know, but I do know that Andre did, say that it's up to me on what I want to do. Do I want to have the surgery, or do I want to, just, get the pill I had them to explain because my sister is our family doctor. And so I had all of the questions and all of the things. And so she did say, like, it's going to feel like you're having a cycle, but really more intense. And so not to gross people out or, weird people out, but it was an experience. So what happened, like, when in the room after we had to make that decision? What was going on in your mind, or what were you experiencing? What did you hear the doctor say?
Honestly, after they gave us our options, I literally muted them out. Because at that point, I was still confused, like, but I wanted this.
Yeah.
Like, this is my first child. This is our first child. Like, I get to experience this with my new wife. And now you're telling us that our child is gone before we can, get to fully experience the whole pregnancy, experience and all this. And just thinking about, like, I had so many dreams, so many hopes, and just all these things are running through my mind. But my main focus was my wife. I wanted to make sure that she was okay, or at least in a good enough space. And so they gave us the instructions, and we left. And I do remember that car ride home was quiet.
Yeah.
And it wasn't quiet like we didn't have words.
Yeah.
And I do remember you calling Mama. I do remember you calling her.
Oh yeah, I think did I call her in the car?
Yes,
or
you
did
called her in the car.
Okay. Because here's the thing, guys, no one knew. Andre and I had already made plans on how to do a reveal, that we were pregnant. Like, we had all the things. We were going to take a family photo. And then when I turned around, clearly I wouldn't have been showing yet, but the whole thing was, I would have a onesie and saying, "We're pregnant," type thing. So we had the whole thing planned, and we didn't want to tell anybody. And here's the other thing too. If you grew up old school, my grandmother was like, "You don't say nothing until your second trimester." Doctors say the same thing now. But nowadays, people, things are different. People, you take a pregnancy test and you're like, "Oh, I'm 20 hours pregnant. Hey, world." And I'm like, "No, ma'am." So, we were gonna wait and get through the first trimester without saying anything to our parents. So I feel like I remember that call being at home. But yeah, so I called my mom and told her my mother was at work. And I called her and told her, and she's like, "What?" And I broke down and cried. And I knew it would hit her out of nowhere. I'm going to have to ask her opinion. Maybe we'll have to come back and do another segment with the grandparents. But when I called my mom, I told her, "Hey, I had a miscarriage." And she was like, "You were pregnant? You didn't even tell me." I know. Like, I had a miscarriage, and I crying, boo-hoo, all of the things. I live in North Carolina. My younger sister lives in North Carolina as well. So, of course, my mom, hung up and called my sister, trying to figure out what to do, trying to get, over to the house. We were in our apartment at the time. She reached out to my older sister as well. So, like, all the things. Andre had to call his mother. It was a lot of emotional conversations, a lot of things going on that we had to do, because, again, it was supposed to be a surprise.
Yeah. I remember calling my mom and was talking to her, and the thing with my family, especially like my mom's side of the family, like, we had this thing, this code, or it's this, I don't know, it's a vibe, whatever it is, but we can tell something is wrong just by hearing the tone in your voice. And that's something that if you're trained to hear it, you cannot get past it. My grandmother trained me well on it. And so when I was talking to my mom, I'm trying to talk, "Hey, Mom," she said, "What's wrong?" And when she said that, I lost it. And I told her, I said, "Mama," I said, "Kirsten just had a miscarriage." I said, "I lost my baby." I said, "My baby's gone." My mama said, "I'm on my way." That's the only thing she said. She said, "I'll be there in a minute." And she hung up. And I called my dad. Now, this is the one thing I would say, this made me mad. It made me mad because at that moment of what he said, but I understood because, like I said, like Kirsten said, no one knew. So when I called my dad and told him about it, he was like, "Son, y'all were expecting, you ain't tell me?" I'm like, "Bruh, this is not the time for that right now." Like, I don't need you to lecture me about not telling you about our pregnancy. I need my dad right now. And so he was like, all right, son. He's like, call me back later. I'll be there. And so, like I said, we got the family out, but we talked to, our parents and whatnot, let our parents know. And I remember, I can close my eyes and I can remember sitting in that living room, and Kirsten was in the bed at this point. And I guess I couldn't even tell how hard I was crying. All I know is I lost it. And I just screaming and yelling, and the crazy part about it, all that chaos, I heard my wife's gentle voice. She called my name, and when she called me, it's like I snapped back. And all I could do was go in there and lay beside her and cry. That's all I could do. And that's the most painful thing that I feel like I've experienced in life, is to lose something that you wanted. And like Kirsten said, there's no shade to anybody who had, children without being married. But I'm just gonna be totally honest. There are people out there who have children who don't even want their children and don't even want to be a parent and all that. And the thing is, we question, like, we want to be parents. Like, we're gonna be great parents. And in that moment, I'm like, God, why? Like, why my child? Why our child? And mind you, I'll go ahead and put this disclaimer out there. Mind you, we didn't know what we were having because she was 8 weeks, but the baby grew at 6 weeks. So for 2 weeks, the baby didn't grow no more. So for 2 weeks, the baby didn't have a heartbeat. How does that make me feel to know that I'm talking to my child and my child is not responsive? Hard. And it's actually the first time I actually put it in that perspective now. Wow. Because like I said, we were just head over heels about it. But I this is the first time that you even hear me say this, but after she passed the placenta or whatever it is, and she told me, she actually took a picture and she showed me, and for a long time, and you may remember this, I literally resented going into our bathroom.
Oh wow!
We had in our apartment, we had a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and the master bathroom was in the master bedroom. For a long time, if I had to go to the bathroom, I would go to the other bathroom.
Oh wow!
Like you remember I had a stretch where I took showers in that bathroom. Is because I could not bear the fact, that my baby is in the sewage right now.
Wow.
And it, like I say, it took me a long time. And like I said, I bottled that. It's like this has been 7 years now, and this is the first time. 6 years. 6 years. And this is the first time I'm telling my wife is hearing this. Wow. And because I bottled all that, I mean, it was bad. So, it was that was an experience. So that.
And you go through a thing. So I went through depression before.
Yeah.
I went through depression before. I was 2001. I had a very serious car accident. I should have been dead. I'm not going to turn this into a church segment, but you hear those people talk about I should have been dead and I'm sleeping in my grave. That's me. Every time I hear that, it doesn't matter where I am. I recognize that's me. I should have been dead. Because how bad, if you guys were to see the car, how mangled our car was, and I was the most injured. I broke my pelvis in 3 places. I fractured my collarbone. I had to learn how to walk all over again. I missed my first semester in college. So that depression, when 9/11 happened, 9/11, 2001, I was home. So that emotional piece, I don't connect with 9/11. Because I was in a state of depression. So I mean, I prayed for, don't get me wrong, I do have emotions and I pray for the families that were affected, but my emotional connection, it wasn't there because I'm like, why? Why did you allow this to happen? I did everything right. I went to church when my mama said to go to church, even when I didn't want to go to church, I went to church. I joined the choir, I did this, all of the things. I did, and this still happened. You would think as a Christian that God allows bad things to happen to bad people who don't believe. But in that moment, I had to go through that whole depressive state, right? And that took about a year or so for me to get through. And my mom, even after we talked about it later, my mom didn't understand it, that I was going through depression. My dad didn't understand. what was going on. Heck, I didn't at the time. I didn't recognize that. But when we had a miscarriage, I think me going through my depressive state before kind of prepared me mentally to be able to weather this. Even though this was a new weathering, it wasn't an accident, but my mental state, I was kind of able to kind of get out of there a little bit quicker than Andre did. And so, yes, my mother called, she came, I believe both of my sisters came. Well, I know my youngest, both of my sisters, okay. I couldn't remember, but I know my baby sister, because she's right here, I can recognize that she was there. Even my older sister came from Charleston as well, and it was just no one knew what it was to have a miscarriage. Now, like I say, my younger sister, she is, and I'm not naming names because I'm just not gonna name names. I didn't ask them if it was okay, so that's why I'm not naming names. And so, but she was telling me, this is what you got to do. I mean, she literally came prepared to stay the whole weekend with us because we didn't know when it was going to happen. And so, yes, when it happened, I called her in the bathroom and she said, yeah, that started another wave of emotions and crying and all of the things. And so my mom stayed for a while, and then it was like, okay, she had to get back to work. She got to go back home too. And so what do you do? Yeah, people pray, but at that time I didn't feel like praying, because in my mind, God, you allowed this to happen. So, and this is the first time I think I may have been telling you this, so it's just like, do I continue to be a Christian? Do I give up on God? Because he allowed this to happen. These are all raw emotion feelings. And so these are things when you hear people say, you don't question God and da-da-da-da. Well, that's why I love my pastor. And so he's like, you can question God, but you just don't stay in there and you don't wallow. You don't get like bucking your face and try to challenge him. No, because I ain't crazy. But it was just one of those things like, yeah, I don't know. So I stayed there for a little bit. And then it was just like, okay, it's kind of time to get out of here, time to get outside. And like I said, Andre kind of stayed in there a little bit longer. And it was you would have thought, and not being funny, but you would have thought that Andre had the miscarriage versus me, when you think about the emotional state of the both of us.
Yeah. And I can accept it now. One of the reasons why it hit me so hard is because I had to watch my mother go through. So, and of course, it was hard. So you think about this. I was the only child that my mother had for a long time, 12 years. And I've always wanted a little sister. Always wanted, because I had brothers. I have an older brother that's 2 months and 18 days. Yeah, my dad was a Rolling Stone. It's okay.
Yeah, but you do the math on that.
You know the song. But me and my older brother were 2 months apart, and then my little brother, he's 34. And so I had brothers. I didn't have any sisters, so I've always wanted my own sister. My mom will always say, well, you got girl cousins, that's your sister. Well, true. They grew up as sisters, but it wasn't the same. So, my mom, she got married in 95, and of course the same thing with us. A year later, she got pregnant. And that's the first time I understood what a miscarriage was. And I won't go into the whole story of how we found out and all that stuff, but to see her experience that, was a lot. And for my stepdad, at the time, that was his first child. And so everything went back. And I had a conversation with my boy. I won't even say stepdad. That's my dad. That's my father. I have two dads. Yes, I do. That man took care of me. But anyway, to have that conversation with him, to say, hey, I know you went through this. How does that make you feel? And to hear him say, I still deal with this day, 20 some years. Oh no, it's been over 30 years. And to hear him say that I still think about it. To hear my mom say it, there's not a day to go by that she don't think about it. And I'm very close with my mom. Yeah. And so her to tell me that, I never would have known. And she told me that. And I was like, wow. So to, for my dad, it's like, it could have course, not to say that men don't want girls, but every man wants a boy, so wants somebody to live his legacy or something like that. So for me, it didn't matter, but of course, I'm like, yeah, let me get my boy. And so to go through that, and yes, Kirsten is right. I stayed in it for a long time. I stayed in it so deep and so long to the point where I think a couple of months had went by, and Kirsten was like, "We need help. Like we need to go and talk to somebody." And I'm traditional black. I ain't going to talk to no shrink. I ain't talking to no therapist. I ain't crazy. And Kirsten said, "You don't have to be crazy to talk to somebody." And I was knee deep. I was not going, but I had to take a step out because guess what? I'm married now. I'm not by myself anymore. And so I had to think about that. I said, Dre, you're newly married. If your wife wants to go to counseling, wants to go to therapy, then go. And that's what I felt like the Holy Spirit was telling me. Go with your wife. And I'm like, I'm reluctant. I'm going, but he ain't gonna do nothing to me. Man, I opened up to him like I was Oprah Winfrey.
If I remember correctly, the doctor was like, "Hi, my name is so-and-so." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm Kirsten." And he's like, "Hey, I'm Andre." He's like, why are we here? I mean, Andre just took over. Like, I barely got a chance to say anything, and he just like took the mic. And I knew, like I said, because I had dealt with depression before, I knew what it was to see. He was just like a walking zombie. He did, go to work, do the things, just to get by. But then it was just like come home. Now I want to go to bed. Like, I don't want to do anything else. If it was, and not saying that we weren't, I don't even know, but not to be like, "Hey, you want to have sex tonight?" Like, it wasn't that, but it was like, it's, "Hey, how was work? Hey," that's it. And so it wasn't, I knew what was going on. And so, I told him he needs it more so. Yes, I'm dealing with it. Yes, let's talk about how we can get through it. And after that first session, on our drive home, I told him, "You need to continue." Andre continued going through therapy, because like for me, my therapy or my getting through it was a little different than Andre's, because yet again, now remember I had told you guys that I had placed Jesus down. I put him down. I was like, "Could you allow this to happen?" So, But when you grow up in church, like how my grandmother, and it's okay for me to say her name because she's in heaven now. She can't get me, but just tap me on my shoulder. And so, so when you grow up with Annie E. Green out of Charleston, South Carolina, listen, she had us Bible taught, and you would have thought that we was the pastor's kids, right? And the pastor's grandkids. But having the faith, having God, brought into my life at such a young age, I didn't know nothing else but to go back to God. And so a part of me healing was, yes, doing the work of what the therapist was saying, writing a letter and doing all of the things, right? But then it was also, "Lord, forgive me because I did this. I put you down." Yet and stuff, even when I put you down, you woke me up every single day. You didn't have to, because when I put you down, you could have said, I'm gonna put you down too. He literally could have said that. And so I had to do a repentance. I had to like rebuild my relationship with God as well too, and then see what was the purpose. I believe there's always a purpose in life. You go through things, and there's a purpose. Things just don't, magically happen. Like disappointments and things, they just don't come up. Like, it's a purpose. It's a learning experience through it. So yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, and it opened my eyes, to therapy and understanding like the significance in it. So that did help me, and it helped me get out of it. It really helped me to get out of that depressive state. But my child was still on my mind. So we go fast forward.
So let's talk about this. How did we come up with the name? Because we're fast forwarding. So how did we come up with the name? Because I often because I know this is such a tender subject, I really tread lightly when we talk about them. So because I don't want to send you back, because even now still there are times since different times in March, that's our anniversary month, there are points and times where he's just like, I can see he drifted back in that space and I got to pull him out, that's a continual thing. So I'm kind of always conscious of that. So remind me, how did we come up with the name Kenton?
So, we were, of course, like I said, we were so excited about, being parents. We started thinking of names. And I feel like we started thinking about names before we even started after we got married, like before we even found out we were pregnant. So, we just started thinking about things, and for some reason, I had thinking, what was the name? Was it Cassidy? Something. I can't remember what it was, but it was a K. It started the era of the K. And so we were just going through names, and we found a whole bunch of girl names, and Carrington was one of them. So that was me. Carrington's name because of me. And so I was driving to work one day, and I don't know what I passed by. I passed by a sign, and Carrington just popped in my head. And so I called Kirsten, was like, hey, I got a name for my son. She was like, what? And I was like, Kenton. He was like, huh, that's different.
Because guess what? We're not having no juniors. Andre family.
Yeah, we're not having juniors.
We're not having no juniors. It's too many Andres, Dre's, Dreas. Like, it's too much. Like, that name has just ran its course.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
And the thing about it is, of course, traditionally somebody, any man would want a junior. I did not want a junior. That was my thing. And so I wanted my son's name to be standalone. I wanted him to have his own image, not to be in the image of his father because he's a junior. And so I don't know why it popped in my head, but Kenton popped in my head. So I was like, okay.
And I remember saying, oh, that's different.
Yeah.
But I like it. And if anybody knows me, I tell people there's two sides of me. And because I want to keep it straight. There's a side that, it may not be on time, and the side that's on time. You get the picture, okay? And so my side that want to be on time, I said, ooh, now you can get a job. And I was excited about it.
Yeah. So we kept this. I kept this book, man. This is the one time I just had notebooks. I wrote in notebooks. I just wrote in my notebook all the time, and I had names. So I put Kenton in there, and Carrington's middle name it was Carrington Avery. And so I like the Avery part, so I was like, all right, cool.
But I got a cousin.
She got a cousin
named Avery, and I was like, he ain't about to take over this. And Avery is a unisex name, and her name was going to be spelled with an I instead of a Y. But I was like, nope. I was like, he gonna think this all about him, and my aunt gonna go crazy, and I was like, X that.
So we put Avery on the back burner, and so we started thinking, okay, well, other names. So, Kirsten was like, Ava, and I was like, oh, I like Ava. So we said, okay, we'll put that in the hat, and for some reason, Elise came to my Elise Neal. She's the actor. I love her. She's a wonderful actor, but she spells her name with an E. Elise. And I said, that's a beautiful name. And then I said, well, hey, if I take the E out, put an A, then at least I'll have some part of it, because my A from my name will be in this child's name.
Yeah.
And so that's where Elise came from. So I gave Carrington her first name and Corinne's middle name. So it was a joint effort on that. So because Avery was still out there, and this is after we found out that moving forward, we found out that we're having girls.
We're gonna have that conversation, because it's turning into something else. We're gonna stick on Kenton.
Yeah. So we found out we were having girls. So of course that was it. So Kenton. That's how he had it. That's how his name came along. So I kept that with me, Kenton Avery Branch. That was always in my name. But I'm pretty sure now, you'll have to tune in for other episodes to kind of get the pieces of the story together, but I will mention this part right here to kind of wrap everything up. You may be asking yourself, how do we know we're having a boy? How do we know that our child was a boy? And I will tell you, our girls told us. They were one at the time.
We had just moved into our house, and them getting acquainted. We got new carpet and everything. It was plush, everything, right? And they came downstairs and they said, because they were just having too much fun.
Yeah.
And my thing is, now I understand when parents say when it's quiet, it's a problem. But so they were having so much fun, and they came downstairs, and I said, "What were you guys doing?" And they said, "We were playing with our brother."
Mm-hmm. And mind you, when they said this, I'm still in this space. I'm dealing with it, but I'm still in this space because I'm looking at my beautiful 1-year-old daughter in a brand new house. Everything was new to me, so I'm looking at them, and they said, "Oh, we're playing with our brother," as they're playing with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like it was rehearsed. And so Kirsten said, "Your brother?" "Yeah, our brother comes up and he came to play with us." In my mind, I'm like, "Who been in my house? Ain't nobody been in my house." And then it hit me when I had that aha moment. I got up.
Yep, the waterworks came running out.
I got up and I had to walk away from my children. And what did they say? "Is Daddy okay? Why is Daddy crying?" And Kirsten had to explain to 1-year-old why Daddy was crying.
And they still didn't know at that time, but like I said, it was at that point that we recognized that it was a boy. And before, because here's the thing, it took me 6 months to get pregnant again after our miscarriage. So 6 months, then we got pregnant with the twins. It still was one of those things that, hey, how do I talk to Andre about, our baby? So, when they said that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to start something right now. And even after that, it's kind of still like, I don't want to kind of dabble in it because I know where it's going to take him, right? And so the fact that they said that, they don't recall saying it now. I do believe God had that as a conversation piece. He showed us that for a reason because Andre still was in it. We still were freshly in it, but Andre more so. And so now, as we were talking about our pieces adding on to decor and stuff in the house, now we're more open about talking about Kenton because a lot of people would never have heard or known that we were, we had a miscarriage, or even know that we named him and stuff like that. So, I will say when I saw that, I was like, wow, we got some more pieces that we're working on, and we are openly including Kenton into it now, because again, I myself was kind of holding back because I didn't know how my husband was dealing with it. And so after we started talking and being more open about it, then we began to say, it's okay. He's okay with talking about it. I just didn't know how far to take it. So that is our introduction to the world, Kenton.
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
So, definitely we'll elaborate more on further episodes, but that kind of gives you, a little bit, it gives you more of an insight on, the wall art, and it also gives you an insight on us personally, because yes, we do experience stuff. We're human. We're not excluded from any hurt. So we do, but I do know that there are a lot of people out there that, go through the same thing and they mask it. I've talked to people and they're just like, "Oh, what happened, miscarriage? What we do? We'll try again." And I'm like, "So you don't feel it?" But then I had to realize they're different. So
we're gonna have a couple of. Well, I'm saying we. This is his podcast. I'm the guest. But
we'll have her back. We'll have Mrs. Branch back.
Yeah, and then I know he did say he wanted us to have. He's already unloaded and told me different episodes and different topics he wants to talk about. So we'll talk about some more things, emotional things, even in Black culture. Like in Black culture, what is the norm? What's not the norm? What does Black culture say you're not supposed to do, and all of the things. But
But
I'm about to go downstairs and get something to eat because he got me as the first guest. Ain't got no snacks in here. Ain't got no drink. Ain't got nothing.
It means I need to put a refrigerator in my studio. We'll talk about that later. We got to put that on the expense report. But we definitely appreciate y'all taking the time out to hear us, to listen to us. Like I said, more episodes to come. Thank you so much. And this is Authentic Branch signing out with another episode of I'm So Authentic, the podcast. And always remember, keep it authentic, baby.